the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. Now with the main headlines. Fatimid mourning ceremonies continue in the house of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi. The International Non-Violence Organization denounces Taliban's recent decision to ban women from working for NGOs. Shia of Jordan in search of religious freedom. The Iranian Human Rights Organization announces the death toll from the Iranian protests. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, dear viewers. This is Ayub Nouinou and you are watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV free. The House of the Supreme Religious Authority, His Eminence Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi, continues to establish mourning ceremonies on the martyrdom anniversary of Lady Fatima al-Zahra, peace be upon her, according to the narration of 95 days. The official website of His Eminence stated in a news followed by Shia Waves news agency that the mourning ceremonies were held in the Supreme Religious Authority's house for the third day in the presence of His Eminence Grand Ayatollah Shirazi and a group of scholars, professors, religious science students and general followers of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. It added that the attendees listened to the lectures of Hujjatullah al-Fatahi and Hujjatullah al-Sharifani on the status of Lady al-Zahra, peace be upon her, and the injustice and aggression she was subjected to, as they urged everyone to deliver her injustice to the whole world. The offices, centers, mosques and Husainiyas of the Shirazi Religious Authority witnessed the organization of various religious and mourning ceremonies to commemorate the painful tragedy. Taliban's recent decisions against Afghan women and preventing women from working in non-governmental relief organizations and institutions have been strongly condemned by international human rights organizations. More details in the following report.
The international non-violence organisation Free Muslim has strongly condemned the practices of the Taliban group and its recent decisions against Afghan women and preventing women from working in non-governmental relief organisations and institutions, appealing to the international community to play its humanitarian, moral and religious role in a manner that guarantees the rights of the Afghan people. The organisation also cited words of the Supreme Religious Authority, His Eminence Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi, and his affirmation of the position of women in Islam, indicating that it is necessary for the Islamic community to treat women in the best manner. Free Muslims stated in a statement received by Shia Waves news agency that a number of international humanitarian organisations announced the suspension of all its charitable and relief programmes in Afghanistan in protest against the declaration of the Taliban banning the work of Afghan women in the NGOs working in the country. The statement continued, at a time when Afghanistan is going through a sharp humanitarian, living and economic crisis that casts a heavy shadow over millions of people in the country, the recent decision of the Taliban comes within a series of shocking decisions that aim to deprive women of their most basic rights, such as education and work. It added that this act is a clear violation of religious values and international laws, not to mention that it may put some areas on the brink of starvation as a result of the defect that will affect humanitarian relief operations due to the implications of these irresponsible decisions. The organisation pointed out that Taliban's recent positions to target Afghan women in their education and work fall within the framework of the use of violence against women and the practice of discrimination on them, which makes them a crime against humanity, which also requires the international community to confront them and take deterrent measures to stop them immediately, and to mobilise global efforts to pressure the group to take back its decisions and adhere to the provisions of international and humanitarian legitimacy. Reporting Aruj Fatima Malik, Shia Waves.
A report prepared by Rasif 22 titled "We and the Marginalized Groups" revealed the suffering suffered by Shia in Jordan because of their sectarian affiliation, which made many of them consider leaving the country in search of their religious freedom. The report's author, Badi al-Sawan, stated the Shia file in Jordan is one of the most controversial files on the societal and security levels. And while its political dimensions are officially considered, the Shia are still clinging to the idea that their Shia affiliation is religious, not political. She continued, "There are no official numbers and statistics for the numbers of Shia in Jordan, but the sources interviewed by Rasif 22 confirmed their presence in the thousands, individuals and families, and most of them were displaced from southern Lebanon in 1948 and live in several Jordanian governorates and villages, including Ramtha and Irbid. They integrate into society and do not officially declare their conversion to Shiism." The writer moves from one Shia to another to know the form of the suffering they live in, quoting a writer and convert named Ali as saying, "He was subjected to many pressures after his conversion to Shiism, and he was forced to emigrate outside his country, Jordan." Ali added that a number of the books he wrote were confiscated and completely banned in Jordan, and in some Arab countries they were bought and burned. Despite that, he still believes that thought can only be confronted with thought. The author points out that emigration is what many Shia youths in Jordan do, as they prefer to live abroad in search of freedom, safety, and the right to express their religious affiliation. Others were quoted as saying, "We are not allowed to build a mosque or Husayniyah, which is the place where we gather for the purpose of religious education and reviving the events of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. We are also not allowed to rent a hall to commemorate a religious occasion." Let us remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. Fatimid mourning ceremonies continue in the house of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi. The International Non-Violence Organization denounces Taliban's recent decision to ban women from working for NGOs. Shia of Jordan in search of religious freedom. Also tonight, "100 terrorist commanders, fighters killed in northeast Nigeria." In its latest statement, the Iranian Human Rights Organization announced that the death toll from the Iranian protests has reached 476,064, of whom are under the age of 18. And of those children, 9 were girls. Accordingly, the death toll was reported from 25 different provinces, and most of the deaths were from Sistan and Balochistan, West Azerbaijan, Kurdistan, Tehran, and Mazandaran provinces, respectively. The Iranian Human Rights Organization also warned that at least 100 people arrested during the protests were at risk of being executed. The organization called for increasing the political cost of executions for the Islamic Republic and saving the lives of protesting citizens. According to the Iranian Human Rights Organization, the announced figure is only related to the dead on the streets. And now we continue with some short news. The holy city of Najaf witnessed the launch of a massive march in honor of Lady Fatimid az-Zahra, peace be upon her, on her martyrdom anniversary. Our correspondent said that large crowds of pilgrims from inside and outside Iraq participated in the great Fatimid commemoration in the holy city, as they renewed the pledge to remain on the path of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. He added that the believing crowds participated in the symbolic funeral procession of Lady az-Zahra, peace be upon her, while mawqibs extended on various roads, especially on the 20th Revolution Bridge and the Old City near the holy shrine of Imam Ali, peace be upon him, to provide various services to the pilgrims. Dozens of Iraqi pilgrims from the cities of Nasiriyah and Basra visited the house of the Supreme Religious Authority, Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein al-Shirazi, in the holy city of Qom. The pilgrims held a mourning ceremony on the martyrdom anniversary of Lady Fatimid al-Zahra, peace be upon her, and participated in the daily scientific session of His Eminence. The pilgrims then listened to a lecture delivered by the son of the Supreme Religious Authority, Ayatollah Sayyid Hussein al-Shirazi. The Mosque and Husseiniyyat Ali Yasin, which is affiliated with the Shirazi Religious Authority in the Australian city of Sydney, distributed sacrificial meat to poor families. The initiative was done in the name of Lady Fatimid al-Zahra, peace be upon her, and Imam al-Mahdi, may Allah hasten his reappearance. Husseiniyyah Ali Yasin usually carries out various humanitarian activities in several countries around the world. The Azerbaijan National Academy of Sciences reported discussing a specialized book on Karbala through a research webinar. The Academy said in a news report published on its official website, which was translated by the Karbala Center for Studies and Research at Imam Hussein Holy Shrine, that the symposium, which was titled Georgi Zaydan's Historical Novels Translated into Turkish Azerbaijani, hosted a researcher in the Arabic department at the Institute of Studies Eastern, Azizia Ismailova. The report added that the historical novels of the well-known Arab writer Georgi Zaydan, who lived from 1861 to 1914 AD, devoted to the history of Islam, were discussed in the symposium, the most prominent of which were the Egyptian Amarush, the Virgin of Quraysh, and 17 Ramadan, in addition to Ghaddaq Karbala, the murder of Al-Hussein bin Ali bin Abi Talib, which was translated into the Azerbaijani language by Professor Vilat Ja'far and Professor Baku Mir Muhammad al-Bakofi. It is noteworthy that the Ghaddaq Karbala is one of the most famous works of the famous Lebanese writer Georgi Zaydan, which in its 262 pages talks about the story of the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and his family, peace be upon them, on the plains of Karbala. Inflation in Lebanon increased an average 189.4% in the first 11 months of 2022 from the same period a year earlier, according to data from the Central Administration of Statistics. Hyperinflation continued for the 29th consecutive month, rising annually to about 142.4% in November from the same month a year earlier, the administration's Consumer Price Index showed. The CPI increased about 3.74% from October 2022. Lebanon is expected to post the second highest inflation rate in the world this year, behind Sudan, according to Fitch Solutions. The country is in the grip of an economic crisis described by the World Bank as one of the worst in modern history, and has yet to enforce critical structural and financial reforms required to unlock $3 billion of assistance from the International Monetary Fund. Military authorities said yesterday that 100 notorious commanders and fighters of the terrorist group Boko Haram were killed by joint military operations involving air and ground components. Some of the top commanders included Khalid Tukur, May Musari, and Bakura Jega, the military said. The operations came as Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya and his counterpart Chief of the Air Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amo arrived at Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, on the weekend to celebrate the Yuletide with frontline troops. The insurgents were eliminated at Mantari in Gezuwa area of Bama, local government area of Borno state, alongside 75 other terrorists. A military update issued by the spokesman of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Edward Gabsquet, said the operations which resulted in the killing of the terrorists were conducted jointly. Gabsquet stated, the airstrikes by our NAF aircraft were authorized after it was revealed that a Boko Haram terror commander, simply known as Ikirima, had stationed his fighters and gun trucks at Mantari village alongside other terrorists from other locations, who had converged at the same location on motorcycles and bicycles. Subsequently, the authorization for an airstrike was given, leading to the elimination of several of the terrorists and structures in the area. Three terrorists were killed in an encounter with the security forces at 7:30 a.m. on Panjithri Sidra Road in Jammu, India. The Director General of the Police, Mukesh Singh, said, "We noticed an unusual movement of a truck and followed it. The truck was stopped at Sidra in Jammu, where the driver managed to flee. When the truck was searched for terrorists hiding inside, they fired on the personnel. Retaliatory firing was done. The encounter was first reported by the residents who woke up to the sounds of 5 to 6 grenade blasts, followed by a heavy exchange of fire. The encounter comes after the police on Monday defused an improvised explosive device weighing 15 kilograms which was recovered in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur district, averting a major terror plan. One coded sheet and one letterpad page of banned terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba were also recovered, officials said, adding that the suspect had been detained. According to the officials, a case has been registered at Basantagh police station and further investigation is underway. Halal certified foods are gaining market traction, amounting to a $1.9 billion market globally, but more can be done to spread awareness about halal foods and to ensure that customers shopping for halal certified products know where to purchase them. These findings come from a recent online survey conducted on 1,000 US adults by the Islamic Food and Nutrition Council of America. The survey findings showed that nearly 2/3 of those aware of halal responded that they don't consume halal foods often because they don't know enough about halal certified foods. To be halal certified, foods must conform to production and ingredient standards that align with halal lifestyles, including standards for procurement, preparation, sanitation, storage and handling. Those who do buy halal certified products may also have difficulty determining where to purchase such products, with the IFANCA survey showing that more than half of Americans familiar with halal, 52%, and 72% of those who regularly consume halal certified products report facing difficulties when shopping for halal certified foods. IFANCA is committed to ensuring that everyone has access to halal foods and products that allow them to live secure, satisfying lives, said IFANCA's president, Dr. Muhammad Chowdhury, in a press release. This survey data shows us that we must continue to do more in the food sector, from retail to food service, to better educate and serve our halal consumers. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our viewers of today's headlines. Fatimid mourning commemorates continue in the house of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi. The International Non-Violence Organization denounces Taliban's recent decision to ban women from working for NGOs. Shia of Jordan in search of religious freedom. The Iranian Human Rights Organization announces the death toll from the Iranian protests. "100 terrorist commanders, fighters killed in northeast Nigeria." 3 terrorists killed in encounter with security forces in Jammu. Halal foods still face consumer gaps, IFANCA survey finds. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Please contact us on the number at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news, and thank you all for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم إني أسألك